Hello, I'm Paul Zenon. Now, I was brought up in the Pendle district and I've spent my whole working life as a magician. I'm also a bit of a Houdini buff, in fact, a bit of an obsessive. And so that's why I was blown away to hear the story that broke this week. Now, a little bit of background on it. Houdini, as well as being a world-famous magician and escape artist, also made films later in his career. Now, he claimed that his first film appearance was as early as 1907, and it was of him jumping off a bridge wearing handcuffs in upstate New York. However, a book came out about 10 years ago about early cinema, silent films and Houdini's role in that. And they managed to find a tiny reference, just one informal reference to an earlier film a year before, 1906. And it was screened apparently in Boston, and it had a rather odd title of Houdini Defeats Hackerschmidt. Now, Hackerschmidt was a very famous Russian wrestler of the time, known as the Russian Lion. So the assumption was that, Houdini had challenged him to fasten him up and he managed to escape. But this, as I say, was the only mention, and I think it was in some venue manager's notebook or something. And there's a researcher in the States, a Houdini historian called John Cox, who spent the past 10 years trying to find any other mention of this film and has failed to do so. So the assumption was that it might not have even existed at all, or perhaps someone had imagined it, or a lot of things connected with Houdini do tend to be a bit sort of room orientated or just myths. Let's put it this way: he never let facts get in the way of a good story. That was the case until this very week. And this guy, John Cox, actually found a review of a variety show that's, well, it's blown my mind, because that show took place at where? The Burnley Empire. And this is what it says. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that in those days, early cinema days, they quite often do a film as part of a variety bill, as a kind of novelty, either between the acts or occasionally top of the bill. So this is the review of a show at Burnley Empire a whole year before that mentioned screening in Boston. The performance is closed by the Empire biograph, by which are reproduced an office boy's revenge and Houdini extracting himself from manacles placed on him by Hackenschmidt, who appears to enjoy the fun immensely. So there you got it. Concrete proof that not only did the film exist, but it was actually shown at the Burnley Empire. This is Houdini's first ever appearance on film, a whole year before the only other mention of it in the States, in Boston. That's just amazing. That to me is the Empire kind of crying out through history, going, oh, I'm still here, help. So I'm taking it as a sign that we all need to get behind this crowdfunder campaign. It's just too important. I mean, it's incredible that the Empire is still relevant 115 years later, and not just affecting local history, but history internationally. It's amazing. Thanks for listening.